In 1949, the Pikatinny Arsenal was tasked with developing a cannon capable of firing nuclear shells for future tactical nuclear strike missions. The factory successfully developed the M65 Atomic Cannon in the mid-1950s, commonly referred to as Atomic Annie. At that time, the development of such a cannon was very challenging, with the main issue being the design considerations for the ammunition. The designers had to consider what caliber and barrel diameter would be needed for the nuclear shells to be reduced to a certain size. Fortunately, the United States had the most advanced nuclear technology at the time and was leading in the miniaturization of ammunition. The M65's designers drew on some of the technology used in the German K5 railway gun during World War II. This 283mm caliber heavy artillery had caused a lot of trouble for the Allies, especially during the Anzio resistance to the Allied landing. Allied soldiers referred to it as Anzio Express or Atomic Annie, and the name Atomic Annie may be related to this. The basic structure of the M65 was actually quite similar to the K5, except that the K5 was a railway gun, while the M65 was a towed gun. It used a 375 horsepower Continental AO 895-4 six-cylinder engine for power. The front and back wheeled tractor units lifted the gun carriage and cannon. The specific models of the tractor units were the M249 4x4 heavy tractor for the front unit, and the M254 by 4 heavy tractor for the rear unit. Both units had their own steering capabilities and lifted the gun carriage and cannon. The artillery used a 280mm caliber, had a hydraulic recoil mechanism, and used interrupted screw breech locking. The maximum elevation angle of the barrel was 55 degrees, and it had a firing arc of only 7.5 degrees within the gun carriage, so it needed to be roughly aligned with the target direction during deployment. The entire artillery system weighed over 80 tons, with the two tractor units accounting for 37 tons. The total length was approximately 26 meters, meaning the M65 was not very fast, reaching a maximum highway speed of only 56 kilometers per hour. The design of the tractor units allowed the vehicle to make right-angle turns, providing some maneuverability. The crew consisted of 5 to 7 people, and the vehicle did not have any fixed defensive weapons. The vehicle did not seem to provide any armored protection. It only took 12 minutes to deploy the artillery and 15 minutes to recover the towing. The artillery fired W9 280mm nuclear shells, with an explosive yield of 15,000 tons. According to the U.S. military, it could destroy a division-sized operational unit in one shot. The only test firing occurred in March 1953, with the shell flying over 11 kilometers before exploding in the air, making the test very successful. According to the U.S. military's public statements, the maximum range of the M65 was 20 miles, but some retired soldiers have disclosed that the maximum range could reach 35 miles. After the successful development of the M65, it immediately entered service in the U.S. Army. It was a high-tech weapon at the time, with each artillery system costing $800,000. Although the company produced more tractor units and other components, only 20 artillery systems were put into service, each with its own unique name, such as Mischievous, Sien, Warhawk, and Big Ike. These atomic cannons were deployed to Europe and the Korean Peninsula to counter potential threats, but they were retired in 1963. They were replaced by smaller caliber nuclear cannons and tactical missiles. Their service history was less than 10 years, and currently, 7 M65 atomic cannons have been preserved as museum exhibits.